In our school, our cohort has changed quite significantly over the past 5 years. So we've had a lot more children who join at Key Stage 2 who are completely new to English. We also have a lot of mobility. Because of that, we've had to develop really strong practices within our school on how to support those children.
Confidence levels for teachers when they are teaching young people that don't speak English at home as their main language, it varies, and it really does depend on the context, where they are teaching. It depends on lived experiences, because a lot of our teachers now reflect the schools that we serve, and those teachers are coming through from our schools, and that lived experience brings a level of expertise that perhaps is not prevalent everywhere.
I suppose my role this year is making sure that other staff have that same confidence so that they can implement adaptive teaching strategies so that EAL students can access the same curriculum but with the support in place for them to learn the language to a level where they can achieve at GCSE level. And this is something that we're working on as a school.
I also think the aggregate data is really misleading, especially how it kind of masks and hides vulnerable pupils. Again, thinking about when you pull that data together and you're looking at this larger group, you're not quite seeing the vulnerable young people within that data, and that gets masked very easily around those that need the support the most. Probably the 6 years part really for me stood out a lot, and that was 6 years are needed to develop that proficiency in language to be able to access the curriculum. But EL learners only get 3 years of funding, so that disparity really stood out.
The finding that resonates most with me is the fact that late arrivals often never achieve fluency. That acts as a real barrier to their career prospects and destinations later on. I think that the current funding system is not equitable, and it means that students that need the support and the intervention don't often get it for as long as they need it to achieve that fluency. One thing to note is that it's the same funding for a student who has never learned English and never been exposed to English and another student who has arrived and has had full exposure to English. They get the same funding, but the new arrival that hasn't been exposed to English needs a lot more time and a lot more intervention and a lot more support in order to achieve fluency. So I don't think there's an equitable system at the minute. So that's the most frustrating part, if not surprising.
In the report, there wasn't anything that we found particularly surprising because of the cohort that we have. The findings really reflect our local area. But I think what's important is that we need to have support in supporting these children who use EAL.
Policy changes that would make the most impact, I think, reinstating the English proficiency assessments to make sure that we have a clear understanding of where young people are. If the proficiency shows that some young people need extensive and more support, ensuring that that 6 years of support and funding is available.
At system level, I think the funding needs to be reformulated to ensure that we're not just using a one-size-fits-all funding formula. It needs to use the English proficiency levels in order to direct the funding to students that need it the most. Therefore, those students that are newly arrived and new to English get the most support, so they have the time and the resource to develop fluency before they leave us at 16.